So the Sundance Film Festival is happening right now, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to try this thing out. I'm going to buy a ticket to watch a movie. And so I did. I bought a pass, and I watched Living. Sundance is a really interesting experience because essentially you get access to watch this movie, and you have like a certain amount of time to finish watching the movie. And so it was fun because I was able to actually experience, like, with a bunch of other people afterwards. Like, you can do like this virtual reality thing where you can just like talk with other people about the movie. And I actually had like a pretty interesting conversation with one person, multiple people actually. In fact, it's different from actually having to pay a bunch of money to go to Sundance in Utah. You can actually just like come here and just like watch it on your computer, on your TV. So it was super fun to do that. About the movie, I watched Living from director Oliver something. It was adapted from Kurosawa's Ikiru, which is a movie about this old guy who realizes he's about to die, and then he sort of decides to figure out the meaning of life. And so this movie sort of has like a similar synopsis, where essentially this old man, he learns that he's diagnosed with cancer, and so he decides to sort of take some time to like kind of think about his past life, think about the things that he wishes he could have done. He meets one of his workers, and he's like, hey, that's that one girl, maybe we should start hanging out, something like that. And so this movie's kind of just like it's a nice little story where he kind of just learns to just be young again, or sort of appreciate the moments of life. Like, he learns that he only has this amount of time left. So what is he going to do? He's going to keep being mean and old and no good? No, he's going to realize, like, I gotta, or maybe I need to just enjoy some of these little happy moments in my life, like just sitting on a swing and just sitting there and listening to the birds and watching the snowfall, all these different things. And it was very reminiscent of like sort of the idea of soul. Like, one of the meanings of life is just, or I feel like one point you can say the meaning of life would just be like sitting back and just enjoying all the little moments, like all the relationships that you have. That's like the point of life sort of thing. Just living, just being able to live. And that's something that this man kind of discovers and goes through. And he plays Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and so he's fantastic in the movie. He has some really nice moments where he's like just sitting there, and there's a lot of emotion in the air. That was one thing I really admired about this movie, that character. And then also the younger girl character, her name is Margaret. She's sort of the person that Mr. Williams meets, and then they kind of bond together and sort of form a relationship. And so this movie also has really good cinematography. I think it was shot on digital and just graded to make it look like it was shot on film, but it has a really unique style. The skin looks amazing. It's like sharp, but like still a little hazy it's very similar to the grading from like Phantom Thread and a little bit of Succession. I really enjoyed the cinematography in the movie. There's a lot of really nice compositional shots. And the cinematography is also, like, the camera movements are also pretty dynamic for being a much more slower paced movie. The movie is about an hour and 40 minutes, but it does feel a little longer than it is. Sort of the movie kind of ends at like an hour and 30 minute mark, and then it sort of just keeps going. And there's also like, I guess if we're to talk about some issues I had with the movie, is these characters sort of represent like a certain idea of themselves. And so they talk about who these people are, but we don't actually see how they act. Like, this old man is supposed to be like an old, really grumpy, like maybe like super mean. We don't really see a lot of that, and I just wish like we were able to see just a little more, just to like hit home the fact that he is this way, so that in the more emotional moments they would have been more impactful later on. And same goes for a bunch of other characters that exist in the movie. Like, one character is in the movie for the first 20 minutes, and then he sort of just disappears later on until like a little over like an hour in. And so I just wish that maybe some of these characters were in it and sort of just more important in the story. The movie also features some white pans like that, and then like really long cross dissolves, which did feel a little cheesy. Although for the period of time that it's in, it kind of makes sense for these kind of editing choices, I guess, or these sort of transitions, because the movie's set in the 50s. But overall, like, really nice production design, really well acted. I think the point was hit across pretty well, the main idea behind the movie. And so I'm glad that all worked. I just wish like there was maybe just a little more just writing wise, and then we can like just sit with some of the characters a little more. Also, here's a little bit of the conversation that I had with one person about the movie in the virtual reality world. Like, And then like I love all the soft focus in the background, like when they do those close-ups. You had some really beautiful shots, I thought. I guess if you had if you had I don't know if you do this, but if you had to like rate it, like out of 10, what would you give it? I was thinking the exact same thing, like a 7.5. It's like not too emotional, but it's like emotional enough where like you're still gripped to the story. But it doesn't go like too crazy in its themes where it's like a crazy, movie or anything like that. But yeah, so like a 7.5 out of 10. That's kind of what I was feeling, but I think it's a good movie. Like once this movie comes out, I would recommend checking out this movie. It's an interesting adaptation. The fact that it's an adaptation is really interesting too. Sundance Film Festival. This was a cool experience. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little review. I'll check you guys out next time.